Hi, my name's Jerry MacNeish, and I'm about to be interviewed by Bob Fazio.
Division 1 has begun here at ATCO Dragway. It's 2022. This is the NHRA PC Richard & Son National Open. And you know me, I'm around looking for stock and super stock cars. Check out this 1967 original, factory original Z28 Camaro Rally Sport, driven by Mr. Jerry MacNeish. Jerry, how you doing?
How you doing, Bob? Good to see you.
You too. Beautiful car. Jerry, let's just start out with, where do you come from?
I'm outside of Baltimore, Eldersburg, Maryland.
All right, so about what, 2-3 hours away?
It's 2.5 hours from ATCO. It's about 150 miles.
Okay, well, glad you're here because we all get to see this beautiful car of yours. Let's talk about this car. It's got the 302 cubic inch engine. What was that advertised at, and what is NHRA rated at?
NHRA has it rated at 309 horsepower, but it was originally factory rated at 290. And the General Motors did that because anything over 300 horsepower back then was more insurance money. So basically, when we were kids, you always had to get these cars put in your parents' name because kids couldn't afford the insurance.
Same here, I guess, right? We always had to drive under our parents' insurance when we were in high school, and they were all deathly afraid of that. So let's take a look at the engine here. How many of these 67 Z28 Camaros were made by Chevrolet that year?
Chevrolet made 602 for the whole year. They started, the first one came off the assembly line in January of 67, and the last one was built in late July of 67.
Wow, now what kind of carburetor came on these?
These were equipped with a Holley 780 carburetor as a part number 3910, and they came with aluminum high rise from the factory, the double hump heads with 11:1 compression ratio, and a fairly big camshaft.
Now to get to that 11:1, I mean, that's pretty stellar.
Yeah.
Do these have small combustion chambers on them?
Yeah. So, but you had to run high test gas back then in these cars. That's just the way it was.
What's the valve sizes on one of these?
I'm sorry?
The intake valve and exhaust valve.
202 intakes, 160 exhaust.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
So how long have you had this car? Can you give us a little backstory on it?
I've owned the car since 2006. A friend of mine who I raced with years ago at Capitol Raceway, Ray Farrell, he bought it brand new at A.D. Anderson Chevrolet. And I met Ray about 1970 when he got back from Vietnam. But Ray raced the car and drove it to work every day, ran stock Eliminator with it back in the day, and as I did. And then him and I basically in the 70s just did a lot of bracket racing. But I always told Ray all those years ago, I said I knew they didn't make very many of these. So, and he wound up, he campaigned it like this for about, I'm going to say 5 or 6 years, and then he decided to run modified production, so he had the car painted black with silver stripes, and after that he ran C Super Modified, and from there he did that for a few years, and then eventually he turned it into a bracket car and started to run super gas. So as a matter of fact, he used to come to the Cecil County Points race all the time, and we would always talk about this car. And other than that, I mean, he kept all the paperwork for the car. So I have the dealer invoice, the protector plate, I have the registrations, I've got all the documentation for this car, which is really kind of cool. Ray was one of these guys who just had put it away in a folder somewhere and just, it never got lost.
Wow.
So, but
That's
when
amazing.
I bought the car, I mean, it had a fiberglass front end, and it was painted black, so I just brought it back to the way it was. So what you see now is exactly the way this car was delivered from A.D. Anderson. I think it was July of 67.
Wow. All right, so this dark green color, did they have a name for this
Yeah, this
color?
is Tahoe turquoise, and it's kind of a rare color. They did not make a lot of Z28's in this color, but ironically, Ben Wenzel's 67Z, which he bought brand new, is also Tahoe turquoise. Ray did not order this car. There were 2 on the lot at A.D. Anderson, and he chose this one because it had a 410 rear instead of the 373.
Wow. Can we take a peek inside the car here?
Yeah.
So this is the factory steering wheel that you would have gotten
that's
that year?
The factory steering wheel. There's no gauges in the car. It did not come with gauges.
So you had to...
It had some...
Put the gauges in yourself. It didn't. This package didn't come with any gauges, or none of the Z28s?
That was a separate option. So if you wanted gauges, you would have had to order them. Most of the serious hot rodders didn't get the factory gauges because they weren't accurate. But this thing is kind of a weird car because it's got the Lux interior and it's got a remote control mirror, which was from the factory. So, I mean, there weren't a lot of options on the car. They all came with factory disc brakes.
And this car still has the factory seats and the factory back seats in it too, which we find very rare in stock Eliminator. We love to see it though, because you are allowed to change the driver's seat and passenger seat out to race seats. But I like seeing factory seats. It just gives that extra car show feel.
I'm kind of a purist, you know, because I work for Barrett-Jackson and I have a restoration shop. So basically, I like seeing the cars as they were when I remember them when they were new. So I know I could put the lighter seats and bump it up a class and all that, but I'm happy the way the car runs right now. So I just think it looks much nicer with the white interior and all that. And being the car's been done since I finished the car in 2008. So I mean, so I've got 14 seasons on the car, I guess, and so I'm very careful. I don't change the oil and then get in the car with grease all over me. So it's, it's kind of neat. For me, it's like a time machine because knowing the original owner, he's passed away. He had some health issues. Passed away about 5 years ago, and he never did get to see the car when it was finished. I wish he did. But the second season out, after we got things figured out, I set the national record here in 2010, and that was pretty cool. That was my first national record ever. And then I hooked up with, I think, Evan Smith, and they did a big article on the car. I think it was in Super Chevy or one of the magazines. I have it at home. And so 2010 was a great year for me. I won class at several events and had the magazine coverage and set the national record. So I still love the car as much today as I did back then.
And what class are you running with the car?
I run D stock. The car has to weigh 3105. I cannot get the car light enough to run C. I could be 2950 in C, but I'd have to take the seats out, put the fiberglass front seats in and all that. But I'm happy in D stock.
Now, what's the index in D stock?
It's 1150.
And what's the quickest you've gotten this car to go then?
Quickest I've been at Cecil County is a 1029 at 128.
Wow. So is that what you set the record at back in?
No, in 2010 I set it at 1046, I think.
Okay. And then since this is D stick shift, what kind of transmission are you running? I'm
running the Jericho DR4. I've had good luck with their transmissions for many years. So it's worked well for me. Every once in a while something will happen, but Jericho's kind of put stick shift cars back in stock Eliminator.
Yeah, and you're not even running the pistol grip like most drivers run. You're using the old T handle. That's pretty cool.
Long shifter, and I put a little handle on there.
Yeah, that's great. We all love the stick cars, and that's why we got a nice in-car camera video of you going down the track. What kind of rear do you guys run in these cars?
12-bolt Chevrolet, 586 ring and pinion. And you need the real low gears to get the car down the track. These motors don't have any torque, and they rely all on RPMs. I'm going through the traps at probably 8,400 RPM.
Wow, what are you launching the car at?
It depends. There's no traction here. I can come out as high as 6,200, but like today, the starting line isn't real good. I set it at 5,400, so that's just, I didn't want to spin the tire. That's the whole thing, you just want to hook the car, go down the track.
Right, a little bit lower here, be on the conservative side. So let's just look in the trunk. We have a weight box here on the right.
Yep.
Barry Grant fuel pump. About a 5-gallon fuel cell.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just a beautiful car in general.
Thank you. A friend of mine actually found one of those dealer logos. I said I had to put that back on the car because Ray had it on the car when it was brand new when he took delivery.
So now, Jerry, you said that you work for Barrett-Jackson. You formed a relationship with Hendrix Motorsports.
Yeah.
What do you do for Barrett-Jackson?
I'm an automotive specialist for Barrett-Jackson, and we inspect the cars before they go to the auction block. And my expertise is Camaro, Chevy, and Nova. So what we do, if we have a car and it says it's a numbers matching car, we have a lift inspection area where we bring the cars and we evaluate, make sure that it is. So I have a database at home that has over 30,000 photographs, so I can actually do the forensics for block stampings, transmission stampings, and all that. There's a lot of trickery and fraud in the hobby today, only because the cars are worth so much money. So, but there's fake paperwork, I mean, you name it. So,
wow, have you caught
oh yeah,
people?
A lot. We had 2 cars thrown out at Barrett-Jackson because they were rebodied. They weren't the original car and they had fake trim tags on it. The trim tag is on the firewall. That tells you what the car it is and when it was built. And we had 2 of them, which is unusual, but the owner, same guy who owned both cars, he wound up pulling the cars. We said, you'll have to change the inscription. And that's basically how it works. If we find something that's not right, we have to call the consignor and we'll tell them, look, this isn't matching numbers. It's a nice car. We're going to do the best we can, but we just don't want it coming back to Barrett-Jackson when someone finds out. And the reason a bunch of us got brought on 10 years ago is because of all the lawsuits and stuff. But they have a Corvette expert. They've got a Mopar expert. They have a Pontiac Oldsmobile expert. So they've got experts for basically everything that goes through the auction. And
wow.
Barrett-Jackson is the only auction company in the country that has automotive specialists on hand.
That's crazy. All right, so there is no fooling Jerry MacNeish when it comes to OEM factory production Chevrolet Camaros. All right, Jerry, and thank you for spending some time with us here.
All right, hey, no problem, Bob.
And,
thanks for the shift fingers.
Absolutely. And good luck to you the rest of the weekend. Are you going to race here next week for the divisional?
I'm going to try and do that too. Yep.
All right, well, good luck to you, and have a good weekend.
All right, thanks, Bob. Appreciate it.